First of all, thank you so much. I hope so the afternoon siesta doesn't catch any one of us. If it does, this is exactly what session is meant to be, what I call breaking the patterns, because the speakers on this panel are not the ones you'll find in any forum. When I say forums, because the kind of challenges, the kind of expectations and the kind of aspects what they're building, what they have done in the past is so unique. But the underpinning over there, I always say, is how to make India leapfrog to the next level. And I want to have a very freewheeling conversation with three of you, given that I have a pleasure and privilege of knowing three of you. Let me start with you, Rama. I want to really understand what is that you are thinking and building in terms of AI and Gen AI. We spoke sometime back in Hyderabad, and you gave some perspective about the strategic initiatives you are taking for the government. But would love to hear, for the audience's sake, what are the stages on which you are thinking analytics AI can be moved to the next level?
Sure, Samir. Thank you for the kind words. By the way, we are not looking at leapfrogging. In fact, we are looking at pole vaulting, in terms of adopting AI.
I take my words back.
So, yeah. Our journey in AI began almost 3 years back. In fact, we have been focusing on emerging technologies, which is kind of a buzzword way back when we started working on it in 2018, It was the first initiative of the government in terms of technology, where we set up a separate, vertical called emerging technologies and started to focus on these frontier or emerging technologies. And the way our approach has been, or the strategy you may say, is to come out with policy frameworks for each of these technologies. And for AI too, we came out with a policy framework, launched it in 2020, the year which we commemorated as the year of AI. In fact, when I look back, I think I was talking to Lalita. She said way back in early 90s, she worked for a government organization where she actually had to load the data in a floppy disk and give it to, government department or to the CM. But that's not the case right now, It's totally different. As I said, we pole vaulted to a new era of technology where we are using AI, in so many areas. So coming back to the policy framework, we identified key ingredients or key pillars, which we believe that it will accelerate, the adoption of AI within the government, as well as it will help the ecosystem to grow in these technologies. And today we can proudly say that, we have a great ecosystem within the state. We focus on talent, trained around 30,000 people, students, and from high-end, what you call AI programming to data annotation, various levels of, training programs. We made available compute. Compute is one of the biggest, access to compute, high compute. So it's one of the barriers for startups. So we enable that by partnering with CDAC. And today CDAC is actually building 20 petaflops of high performance computing in Hyderabad. This was just announced recently. So compute is another area that we focused on. Then one of the most, important initiative for us is adoption within the government. And the way we do is, we identify problem statements within the government, and we don't look at ROI. Today, in fact, I was, a company called me and said, how did this startup actually help you in, in implementing a particular project? I said, they have done a very good job. So what about the ROI, the kind of investment that you made? We never look at ROI. So it's a totally diametric, opposite view that we have. We look at creating social impact. We look at solving problems for a poor farmer. It could be a poor student getting access to education, or a farmer getting access to technology to increase his profits, or, a healthcare worker using tools to actually offer health services. So these are the kind of projects or areas that we look at in using advanced technologies. And just to give you do I have time? How much time I have?
Let me come back, because my
sure.
subtle indication of asking you, which you rightly said, pole vaulting, was to make the crowd aware that there's a great work which is happening, and many of us may not be privy to that. Let me come on this, circle back. MSR, T-Hub, most of the folks I was talking offline, I think what has really emerged, and kudos to the way it's been positioned, there is a very serious playbook for how startups from ground up can scale, get nurtured, get mentored, and even can become a unicorn, if I may use that kind of a word. And all that ingredients in terms of how to go out and make that startup kind of, let's say, get the right support is something what you've built in the ecosystem. Can you please explain how exactly the playbook has emerged, and what is that you would like to do to take it to the next level?
First of all, thank you, Samir. Thank you for having me here. And so T-Hub as an entity was set up back in 2015, and we are a public-private partnership with government, industry, and academia coming together. So we have our academic partners are IIIT Hyderabad, the Indian School of Business, ISB Hyderabad, and the National Law School, Nalsar, right? And then we have 5 industry partners. So we are a board-run Section 8 not-for-profit, primarily focused on 2 themes. One is how do we support and scale early-stage entrepreneurs. Second is how do we drive innovation, right? So these are 2 things. Specifically for startups, we are, at the risk of sounding a little immodest, we are the largest incubator in India. At this point of time, we have 486 startups physically incubated at T-Hub. At any given time, we work with more than 700 startups across 30 domains: agriculture, aviation, blockchain, pretty much every letter of the alphabet. And what we do with these startups, apart from the space which we have, is also essentially give them, first of all, we have programs for early stage startups. So if you have an idea and are figuring out how to convert it into an MVP, we have a program for that. We have programs for slightly more mature startups on getting them market, go to market and product market fit, help them raise money and so on. We do a lot of work on market access. I think a few of the clients we work with in the corporate side are here. Sure. Essentially, large companies are recognized that they can build, they can buy, or they can partner, right? So what we are looking at is acting as the bridge between the large companies and the startups, so that the large companies can leverage the agility, nimbleness, and innovation of startups. So essentially what we do is, with corporates, we run programs of 2 types. One is where essentially they engage with startups and research institutions, because we also have, as I said, academic entities which work with us. And also we run what we call internal innovation or entrepreneurship programs with corporates, because what we recognize today in India particularly is a lot of corporates are now recognizing that innovation can be a key differentiator. So how do you create a culture of innovation, entrepreneurship within, right, is what we do. So specifically on AI, Samir, I'm happy to tell you that next month we'll be launching a Department of Science and Tech funded AI/ML Center of Excellence. We already have 58 startups. Of course, none of them is doing foundational models, but everything else which you can think of is being built now as we speak.
Great, awesome. KSV, let me shift to you. I think if one name which is synonymous with GCCs today, and if the folks in this room are not aware, and that name is KSV and GCC. So KSV, first of all, you have to tell us this entire thing, because you've seen that shift. I know you from 2010 onwards, where this whole aspect of cost arbitrage, to the folks from the GCC getting a seat on the table, to the innovative products and services being driven from India, and Srinam spoke in the morning, Ambika will be talking about that in the evening. How's that metamorphosis come through? And you've seen that movie from last 10, 14 years. Is there a suspense in the movie still left? Is there a climax still happening? Or you believe this is tip of the iceberg?
Thank you all. The climax will never come. The climax will never come, right? It's one of those typical Hindi movie of Prakash Mehra. After 22 reels, we find when the end will come and the next phase of the life will start. Now, Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 3. The GCC 1, GCC 3, the continuum that is going to go.
Yes, you also keep updated yourself on movies. I never knew that actually. So anyway.
Let me retrace it. Let me trace it. Many of my friends are in this room. about 12 years back, the global multinational corporations setting up their entities in India, they were using an ugly 7-letter word called starting with C, right? So we as a community joined together and said, we will not use that word C, and anybody using the word C in a public forum will pay a penalty of 500 rupees, and the 500 rupees will come to KSP Benevolent Fund.
Can you please explain C before they start assuming different...
I have the first fellow made so much money by not using the word C, I cannot introduce the word C, right? It's a bad 7-letter word. So the reason was in 2011, 2012, the challenge was the enterprises, the global capabilities enterprises in India, they had an identity crisis. India was largely focused on service providers. Circle back in 2024, very happy to tell you, the GCCs have become the mainstay of the Indian tech ecosystem here, right? It's just about 15 years back, 15 years time, the GCC stayed. This year, just as I speak to you today morning, we announced the probable results for the Indian tech industry for this year. And this year, growth, if any, has been largely been contributed by the GCC world, right? GCC world. The reason why this shift has happened is we are in the third gen. Just giving one more data to you. In a good year, we add about 2 GCCs a week. This is not a great year, yet we are adding about 1 GCC a week. We'll be ending at about 55 GCCs this year.
Awesome.
The great thing which is happening, why it has got the mainstay of why it is happening here, is the quality of leadership that leaders have provided for the period of years has completely changed. Completely changed. I'm not being harsh, I'm being critical. We were perhaps in the initial phase more of an order takers executing what was told. And we had a constant struggle of us and them, right? To my mind, in today's world, all those differences, us and them, is disappearing. Is oneness. One enterprise, one US enterprise, one European enterprise, their center in India. So that's the way it has evolved. Is the journey over? No. Way it came for cost arbitrage, way it has came for talent thing, today as an average is important. It's important that we work with both of you. What you're doing is phenomenally attractive. Is that on an average today, GCC's now model, they are providing 3 to 3.5x impact to the parent enterprises. 3 to 3.5x. The 3 out of 3.5x impact, 3.5x impact what they give, approximately 3x impact is coming purely out of cost and talent arbitrage. This model is not sustainable. We are regrouping ourselves as the GC community. How do you go back to the 4x and 5x impact? The 4x and 5x impact for GCC is going to come through perhaps GCC model itself looking at a right-hand side of the balance sheet. Beyond emphasis on productivity, looking at performance, looking at data, looking at insights, looking at upsell, all of them which is taking place. And secondly, which is important is, how do we leverage, I'm not saying because I'm sitting in this forum, genuinely with my leaders, we've been talking about how do we make the GCCs as a relevant for AI transformation centers for the parent enterprises. Very, very important. They expected, the day for yesterday, I was with one of the potential GCCs, they were not decided where to go. Perhaps they will come to Hyderabad. And much as Lalita and I do not want many GCCs.
They already know which GCC came. So
they will know. In fact, last week I've hosted 3 GCCs. 3 GCCs.
So are you saying Bangalore is better than Hyderabad before we start with that debate? Or?
I will not even say that. Lalita and I have been pushing people away.
There are folks from Pune as well. I can see in the front seat out here.
Completed. Lalita, I'm just picking up Lalita. Lalita and I have been bad-mouthing Bangalore a lot, but yet 50% of the 50 GCCs still come to Bangalore. But okay. Jokes apart.
In the interest of time,
yeah.
I have one question because the crowd here, the cohort of the audience out here, for 3 of you, is most of them are corporates. And I want you to make them understand with the various initiatives India is taking today on the AI, Gen AI side. I mean, I spoke to both of you and KSV, you and me.
Yeah.
Something which you believe is they haven't heard.
The 3 things.
Sure.
I'll make it short, right?
Please.
Currently, Government of India, along with NASSCOM and the industry, is very strong to have the borderline between regulation and innovation, which is important, right? Should you excessively regulate AI, Gen AI focus here, curbing the innovation? Or should we allow a free flow innovation, allowing everything else to fall in place? Around responsible AI regulation is one thing which is directly happening. Secondly, what we are saying is, can we create, to build up what Rama Devi ji said and MSR said, can we create use cases at both enterprise level and at the government level? What could be the potential use cases for AI in the country? Then can you build up capabilities leveraging that? Third, I think most of you have heard, very soon it will be a reality, several LLMs coming in across.
Awesome.
Either language-based LLMs coming across, the vertical domain-based LLM coming across. These are three big things which is going to completely transform the way things are going to be.
Of the 19 sessions which have happened in that KSV, for the first time, a leader has used the word LLM. Imagine this is a Gen AI conference, and it's you. Rama, please, and then MSR.
Yeah. The three things that we are looking at, one is, all of you might be aware that Sam Altman has challenged us, right? You cannot build an LLM. So we would like to build Telugu LLM. So we would actually like to form a consortium of partners in that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's number one. Second, because most of our rural folks, they do not understand English as a language. And they would be losing out on the benefits that AI delivers. That's one. Second,
Rama, can you please hold the mic?
yeah, second,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. First, LLM I said. Second, again, as Viswanathan ji also mentioned, use cases, potential use cases. And we've already identified 8 use cases for this year, that we are going to focus on. One is, of course, on narcotics and drug abuse. It's rampant in all over, in the 2 Telugu states. I'm not sure about the other states. And young lives are getting destroyed. So we are looking at building AI tools, number one, to assist the investigation officers to identify these, network of these drug providers. Secondly, develop a tool that will assist parents, to detect early whether a child is getting addicted to drugs or is consuming drugs. So that's narcotics. Second, healthcare. Fraud detection. There are huge social benefit programs in health, in delivering health services. So fraud detection in healthcare is the second one. And third one, within healthcare, what we are looking at is high-risk pregnancies. Most of these poor women, they die, because of lack of nutrition or certain problem, where AI could play a major role in preventing those deaths. So number 2 is AI use cases. Third, of course, which is very close to my heart, is making available data. All of you know who are working in analytics, data, AI, and so on. Data is critical, right? So we are building we already launched a data exchange platform. Initially, we did this for the agriculture domain because we are working on a number of agri initiatives. That will extend to other domains such as healthcare, education, and so on. So these are the top 3 things that we are focusing on.
So MSR, you have a task. Both of them use the theory of 3 to point out their 3-pronged approach.
Sure. So I think one is about capacity building, right? Which is how do we create a talent pool of AI savvy workforce, right? So that's one area of focus. The second is I'd like to throw an open invitation to all the corporates here that if you have any challenges, we do run a large number of innovation challenges. In fact, just earlier this week with a large Swedish company, we ran a challenge around predictive maintenance, digital twins, and real-time language translation. So 12 startups across, not just in Hyderabad, but across the length and breadth of India are part of this challenge. So if you have challenges, reach out, and we're happy to this thing. And the third thing which we are doing, while CDAC is doing a commendable job, there is still a challenge for early stage startups in terms of access to compute. So we are working with a company, I think I saw someone which has just reached a market cap of 4 trillion to try and get compute made available to the startups.
Awesome.
Yeah, Samir, before you take up, I
Please.
just want to make one announcement. We are organizing Global AI Summit in the month of July, July 1st, 2nd. So we will be reaching out to all of you. So, to partner with you, we'll invite you. So please save the date for this event. Thank you.
KSV, you have a point?
I'm not a point on this, just a recommendation, suggestion. because I've seen the tech industry, the IT industry coming together in late 80s, early 90s to create a momentum from India that when you think of IT, it is us, right? As a continuum of that journey which I have seen through the last 4 decades, perhaps the time which you're trying to do, Samir, it's important we create the same ecosystem momentum for AI and Gen AI, which I'm not seeing happening. It is perhaps too early in the game, but still perhaps dispersed, multiple agencies, multiple organizations. You just get up in the morning, you get a mail which says there's a Gen AI conference taking place in Pune, 3 Gen AI conference taking place in Bengaluru on the same day. Just create, is it possible? Can we just, I'm not saying that, just create the entire ecosystem together once again, recreate the magic that we did for IT to make India the Gen AI capital for the world. If we can do that, that'd be a biggest ask from all of you.
Awesome. You summed it up, KSV, and I know you have a knack of putting punchlines and making the job of a moderator useless. So, but having known you for the last 12 years, actually, this is what I know. But it's awesome, really riveting to kind of hear the stories, which I'm sure the delegates out here are not aware. And this is where we keep on saying, India shining is not just a glorified kind of a positioning. I mean, if you can just hear from 3 of them, and all of them actually have also donned corporate hats, turning into what their passion is today in terms of saying that, look, how India can change, and that underpinning of change is coming from Gen AI, and multiple other exponential technology. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate. Can we have a huge round of applause for 3 of them?